this is a family neighborhood. Our kids were the ones that brought everybody into the house, and they now have their own lives. You know, they all moved out, so suddenly that wasn't happening anymore. It got really quiet around here. Then on top of that, the neighborhood turned over right around us. Every property except one has a new resident, new family in it in the last 3 years or so. And we realized, God, you're gonna have to do something else here. We want our neighborhood to be a place of blessing. Where people are receiving the blessing of Abraham, you know, through us and other believers in the neighborhood, and that they would feel like this is more than just a place where my house is, that this is a community of people that care about one another. And it's not just about sharing Jesus with them, it's about blessing them. That the widow down the street who is this wonderful gardener, but is too old to take care of her garden anymore, would have her neighbors coming over and pulling her weeds for her and loving on her and being the community that she needs right now.
Because so many people are isolated. COVID has just, really enlarged that. And I've watched my next door neighbor who's from another country live in terror.
But in the midst of that, I mean, she's experiencing Jesus, and the other people that are participating in that, even whether they're in Jesus or not, they're experiencing the blessing of this being a place of blessing.
My hope for our community, this neighborhood, is that everybody feels safe, feel heard, and have a place to come. In the last couple of years, there's been 2 men who've committed suicide on this street. And it broke me that there were people that were so desperate that they just stepped into eternity. And I didn't even know their names. And that's not okay. And I'm on my knees, and he has just built a deep compassion in my heart. And there's just a fire in me that I'm here because I may be the only person who prays for these people, whether I meet them or not. I can be more intentional, that I'll see a particular neighbor and I just walk up and say hi. And we all start talking. That thrills us. And sometimes I think some of that's just what we have prayed for.
We started, before COVID, we started taking some initiative. We just thought, okay, we're gonna have to take some initiative. We got a bunch of new people here. They don't know each other. We don't know them. Let's just knock on some doors and invite some people over, right? For a party, for a dessert. And we invited 3 families, and 40 people came because they invited other friends. And this place was happening, you know, it's just full of people. And it was obvious there's a hunger for relationship. We just took a little initiative. And then COVID hit, and it shut all that down. And so there'd been this taste of community that people wanted. Well, 3 of these families we've reached out to, that none of whom were in Christ, but they've tasted this. They came to us. Could we have another one of those community deals where we get together? And so we had s'mores out in the front yard, and cornhole and badminton going on. And again, 3 families invited. But all these other people started coming out when they saw something was happening.
It was crazy.
It was crazy. So this one neighbor that has been really reclusive, we've been here for 9 years, could barely get them to wave hello, right? They came out, and they stayed and stayed.
They stayed for 3 hours.
3 hours, 11 o'clock, we're still out in the front yard talking. And this guy, who's been so reclusive, he said, you know, this that's happening right here, this is what the world needs. At this point, some of our best ministry partners in the neighborhood don't know Jesus yet.
They're people gatherers.
They love the neighborhood, and they love their neighbors, and they're helping make stuff happen, and they're loving on them. They're our best partners right now. And that's great. Why not? One of the first things we started to do when the neighborhood shifted around us and we realized we were going to have to find a new way here is we started prayer walking the neighborhood and walk and pray and meet people, and sometimes even pray with them, if that opportunity opens up. And also, prayer walking alone. I've walked the neighborhood and pray early in the morning, and I'm praying for lots of things as I do that, but I'm also praying for our neighbors. And a new thing that came our way, Every Home for Christ, Bless Every Home app. It makes a map of your neighborhood, gives you everybody's names, which is a little bit weird in terms of technology, but our purpose is to pray for them. So we've got the names of all our new neighbors, and it just prompts us every day to pray for these people. And what we're seeing is that God's answering those prayers. Perhaps part of the story is that we have a Navigator team that's not in our neighborhood. And we're praying together, our team's praying together about how can we lead by example in terms of what it looks like to live out our calling in our neighborhood. And we're trying to figure out, okay, how do we live this out? We can't make this happen. God, you're going to have to make something happen that we can't do. So we just, as a team, started regularly praying together for one another in terms of our personal ministries in our neighborhood, and things started happening. And we're seeing that God's doing it.